Resen, the great city between Nineveh and Calah. And to Mizraim were born Ludim, Enamim, Habim, and Kaphtorim. Okay, so this Mizraim in the Aramaic, the Hebrew probably is the Egyptians. And to Pathrusim and Kalushim, a lot of M's on the end of them, from whom emerged the Philistines and the Cappadocians. So that's where those Philistines, what's his name, that giant came from, that David killed. And to Canaan was born Sidon, his heir, his oldest son, right? And the Hittites, and the Jebusites, the Amorites, the Girgashites, the Hivites, a lot of ites there, because ites means peoples, right? The Archites, the Sinites. Let's have a look at 17 in the footnotes, because there's a footnote indicator there. Okay, it's not there, but that's basically what's up with this ites on the end of everything. And the Arvadites, the Zemarites, and the Hamathites. And after that, the tribe of Canaan spread out. They obviously followed the Nile, they're pre-Egyptians, and then they built their kingdom, ancient Kemet, Tamare, Egypt, whatever you prefer to call it, and went on from there. And the Canaanite lineage, or line, spread from Sidon to the outskirts of Gedar and unto Gaza, to the outskirts of Sodom and Gomorrah, Admah and Zeboiim, and Talasha. So that's where they were. They went that way, possibly to the Gaza that we have today, and further out. So they're still going into that region, that European region. They haven't crossed the seas and gone to Brighton or Ireland or Scotland or anything like that, right? They haven't done all that yet. These are the children of Kham. Maybe that should be Cam. According to their tribes, their languages, their lands, and their people. Sometimes there are errors, typos, right? Because this man is an older man, isn't he? 60, 70, something like that. So give him a break. Cheers. And to Shem, Japheth's great brother, there were also born children. He became the father of all the children of passage. And there's footnote indication there. So we're going to have a look at that. (1021) literal Aramaic idiom Hebrews, and 1024 literal Aramaic name Hebrews. This is what it means. Comes from the name were, and we've verified that with a modern day Hebrew speaker. That's exactly what it means. To cross over. There's a typo again. Someone who crosses over, implying passage. Someone who makes a journey, right, from one land to another. Probably crosses a couple of rivers or something like that to get to another new land and occupy it. Okay, so Shem becomes the forefather, the ancestor of the Elamites, the Asherites, the Arpachshadai, the Lotians, and the Arameans. So that's where the Aramaic language came from Aram and his descendants. And this Arpachshad here, he was known as the father of the Hebrews. And the children of Aram were Uz, Hul, Gether, and Mash, or Mash. And to Arpachshad was born Shelah, and to Shelah was born Eber. So this is the father of Eber, who, having this name, his descendants emerged, etc., and became the Hebrews, because they made that journey and crossed over to another land, i.e. the land of Canaan, promised to Abraham by God, land of milk and honey, land of plenty. And to Eber, or Heber in your Heber in your modern Americanized English translations. And to Eber was born two sons. The name of the first one was Peleg, because during his age the land was divided, and the name of his brother was Joktan. Okay, so like Abraham and Lot, he lived here, and they thrived and had more sons and daughters, etc. They populated the area. And to Eber was born 2 sons. The name of the first one was Peleg, because during his age the land was divided. And the name of his brother was Joktan. And to Joktan was born Al-Modad, Shelef, Hazamaveth, and Jerah, and all his other sons, descendants, Ophir, Havilah, and Jobab. All of these were children of Joktan. And their foundation was Manisha. This is their geographical location. The place that they lived was Manisha, in the area of Mount Sephar in the east. So they're still spreading out east. Everything seems to be east, you know. The pre-Adamics, or the animalistic human beings God made in his image, they sort of like, go multiply. So they walked off into the east. Adam and Eve sinned. They were kicked out of the garden, ousted, and went further outside the garden in the east. And then Cain kills Abel, and he's like, you're ousted, off you go. So he goes east into the land of Nod, or the land of wandering, and so forth. Everybody seems to be going east, right? Well, I guess if you look at the old maps, you can't really go north because there's sea. You go west, there's sea. You go south, there's probably sea, you know. Eventually you get to sea. So everyone's getting driven to go eastward. Yeah. These were the children of Shem according to the tribes, languages, lands, and according to their peoples. These are the tribes of Noah according to the births, tribes, and nations. And from them split off the nations of the earth after the flood. Okay, so still in that geographical area, Europe, a massive place. They're all occupying those areas, right? They become the Ashurites, the Persians, Iranians, the Hindus, possibly the Chinese, you know, Japanese, all this sort of thing. Japanese probably came later, but they spread out across that land mass, right? It's probably just one massive land mass until the tectonic plates shifted, you know, knocking against each other, whatever they cause the earthquakes, did cause these divisions, seas and rivers and etc. in between, right? And then it starts becoming different countries, and then people go, ooh, it's a bit hot here, a bit cold here, whatever, there's not enough food here, wonder what's over there, and they sail over there on their boats, right, and discover new lands. Okay, Breetah, or Genesis 11, and the whole earth was one language, and everyone spoke the same dialect, and as it was that they came from the east, there you go. Okay, there's a footnote indication there. 11.1, literal Aramaic, idiomatic construction. And all the earth was one tongue and spoke one. They spoke one language, i.e. the men at Tower of Babel. They all spoke this one language, one to each other, and that's how they understood each other, until God confused them with other languages and scattered them. 11.2, literal Aramaic, idiomatic figure of speech. Let's have a look. 11.2, they took from the east. And as it was that they came from the east, they found an empty spot in the land of Sumer and they settled there. So that's what that means. They took from the east. Okay. So they basically probably had a lot of material stuff or whatever, and they moved, and then they set up camp there. Okay. And as they said, a man to his friend, one to each other, one to another, again, let us cast bricks and burn them in the fire. So they're going to build them a shelter, right? And bricks became their stone, and they used bitumen for mortar. That's like when you have, if you're a builder, and you build walls, concrete walls, it's like a glue in between, so they'll stay there. So if there's a tremor or something like that, it's not going to fall down, is it? Because it's stuck there. It's concrete glue. They used bitumen, or tar, for mortar. And they said, let us again build ourselves a city, like they had before. And a ziggurat, that's, I believe that's Persian for a tower. Okay. With its head in the sky, and let us call ourselves by name. Footnote indicated there. Basically, let us call ourselves a name, become a nation, like the Sumerians, you know. So everyone will know, yes, we're the Sumerians. Okay, so we do not end up scattered all over the earth, because obviously they were scattered before, and they ended up in Sumer or Shinar, so they want to settle down, they don't want to be scattered again, and so forth. And the Lord came down to see the city and the ziggurat that humanity had built. So in this case, like with the Lord, he could possibly come down as one of them and they wouldn't notice, or an angel of the Lord, right? But it's basically Maya Allaha, his son, probably Ishua Mashiach, Jesus the Messiah as you know him, come down. He'd probably come down with a couple of others, but nobody recognised him, and they died amongst them. Wow, look at what they're doing. Wow, look at that. Wow, these guys are really clever, and so forth. They probably just thought, you know, he was one of them. And the Lord came down to see the city and the ziggurat that humanity had built. Maybe wanted to have a look, have a close-up look, right? Rather than be up there in the kingdoms looking down. He'd say, well, let's go down amongst them and see what they're up to. And the Lord said, behold, the people are one people. Look at that. The people are one people. They're united. There's no division. And there is one language for all of them. And this is what they thought of doing. Wow, aren't they clever? From now on, they will not be at a loss to do whatever they imagine. So we have this gift of imagination, and if we put our minds to it, we can just about do anything. Okay, anything's possible, right? What's that quote by Einstein? Something about you have knowledge, but imagination is one better than it. Something like that. I can't remember the exact quote at the moment. You have knowledge, but imagination is so many times better, something like that. So yeah, he went down there and he divided the languages so that men would not listen to their companion's tongue. They couldn't understand each other. He made them confused. And the Lord scattered them from over the face of all the earth, and they left off building the city. And so that makes us wonder, why did he do that? If they were achieving so much, were they up to no good? Were they, like according to the mythos, trying to build this tower to get to heaven, to try and invade the kingdom of God or something like that? Something weird like that. Doesn't really tell you that. It just says, well, he came down, saw what they're doing, and created this whole range of languages to confuse them and stop them building that tower, and then scattered them for whatever reason, creating this great division. Probably all part of the plan, you know. Who knows? Who knows the mind of God? He had reasons for doing it. And the Lord scattered them from there over the face of all the earth, meaning their geographical location, and they left off building the city and that tower. That is why its name is called Babylon, because it was there that the Lord made the languages of all the earth sound like babbling. And from there the Lord spread them out over all the earth, that geographical location. Europe, the east, etc. So that's probably why, I've forgotten his name, on one of his videos, lectures at one of the popular universities in America, this lecturer stated when the Romans met certain barbarians, they couldn't understand what the hell they were talking about. They were babbling. They called them maybe it's a Berbers, not really sure, I can't remember. But he said, it sounded like they were babbling, going bar, 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 like that. That's why they named them barbarians. We really can't remember this guy's name, but it was a really good video. It was about the rise of Islam, etc. Might be Casanaga or something like that. I can't really remember. If we remember, we'll put it under the video. It might be Roy Casagrande or something like that. It was a really good lecture. Long, but it was really good when we got to that point. And these are the descendants of Shem. These are the lineage, right? The descendants of Shem, to Shem who lived 100 years, was born Arpachshad 2 years after the flood. And Shem's line after the birth of Arpachshad was 500 years, and to him were born many sons and daughters. It's basically a recall, of that, to show you where Abraham merged from. Abraham the patriarch, who was born, his family must have moved. Maybe it's after some sort of exile, and they were freed, and they went there to Mesopotamia, Syria, and thrived in the Ur of Chaldee, and then he was born there with his other two brothers. And here it says, Nahor's line after Terah was born to him lasted 119 years, and to him, so he's talking about his lineage, and to him were born many sons and daughters. And Terah lived 75 years, to him was born Abram, later became Abraham, Nahor and Haran. So these are his two brothers there. These are the descendants of Terah. To Terah was born Abram, Nahor and Haran, and to Haran was born Lot. So obviously that's Abraham's nephew, and the story he rescued him. And then Haran lived during the lifetime of Terah, his father, in the land where he was born. So maybe the land was named after him. Ur of the Chaldees. Abram and Nahor consecrated for themselves women, so they made themselves righteous or blessed by having wives, getting themselves wives. And the name of Abraham's woman was Sarai. This means one who mocks, one who laughs, as you will detail later. And the name of Nahor's woman, his brother's woman, was Milcah, the daughter of Haran, who was the father of Milcah and Iscah. We came across information that that's his half sister, child of his father to another woman, okay, not Abraham's mother, something along those lines. So when he went to Egypt, he was afraid that, because she was so beautiful or something, pretty as, hot, right, and they'd probably kill him and take her anyway. So he told this little fib, which was actually the truth, apparently, that no, she's my sister, when she was actually his half sister or something like that. And then he got rich off that, right? Material wise, produce wise, etc. And it happened that Sarai was barren, she had no children, so she couldn't have any children. Her womb was all sealed up, right? Unfortunately, she couldn't have children. And Terah fetched his son Abram, Haran's son, and his grandson Lot. Okay, that's Abraham's nephew, and Sarai his daughter-in-law, obviously because he married Abraham at the time, and the wife of Abraham his son. Okay, yeah, it's not the wife that had a son. Okay, it's the wife of Abraham, his son, Haran's son, right? Or Terah's son. And he went out with them from Ur of the Chaldees to go to the land of Canaan, and they came as far as Haran and settled there. And the age of Terah was 205 years. That's how old he actually was. And Terah died in Haran. Don't forget that they had shorter months in those days, and they ate better, right? Ate all natural. Oh, no Terah. Very, really touched fatty meat, and so forth. Genesis 12, and the Lord said to Abraham, go from your land, or leave your land, the place of residence where you were born, and the house of your father, and go to the land that I will show you, and I shall make you, or through you, your descendants, etc., a great nation, and I shall bless you, and I shall make great your name and a blessing. And I shall bless those who bless you, and curse those who curse you. So if those who say, hey, it's Abraham, what a great dude, they benefit from respecting him, honouring him, etc., etc. But those who say, oh, who's this clown, yes, mutter. Yeah, so they get the curses upon them, or wrath upon them. And I shall bless all the generations of the earth through you and your offspring. So that's from his descendants onward. So if these Hebrews merged and became the Jews, the Israelites, they're a very blessed nation. Yeah. So if anybody says, oh, they're this, they're that, well, they're not aware of this, right? His descendants would become a blessed nation. And Abraham did as the Lord commanded him, and Lot, his nephew, went along with him. And Abraham was 75 years of age when he left Haran. And Abraham fetched Sarai his wife, and Lot his brother's son, or nephew, Abraham's nephew, and all the domesticated animals that they had raised. They had herds, goats, or probably goats, sheep, whatever. I don't know about pigs. Let's have a look at that footnote indication. It's 5. Okay, 12.5.1. Literal Aramaic idiomatic construction. Herd animals, sheep, goats, cattle that they gain. Doesn't make any mention of pigs there. 12.5.2. Literal Aramaic expression. What is that? 12.5.2. Oh, the offspring. I can say it's the descendants. The souls that they made. It's basically the descendants, sons and daughters, etc. that Dad made, brought forth into the world, right? And they left to go to the land of Canaan, and they arrived at the land of Canaan. And Abraham passed over the land until he came to the land of Shechem, and up to the chestnut of Moreh, and the Canaanites still lived there. It's these pre-Egyptian peoples. And the Lord revealed it to Abraham and told him, to your offspring, or descendants, your descendants, your sons, your daughters, descendants, children, whatever, and their descendants, I will give this land. And then Abraham built an altar for the Lord there, where this was all revealed to him from God. And from there he departed for the mountain east of Beth-el. That's the true name of God, El, not El, because that El was the Canaanite god, Egyptian god, right? Egyptian god. And there Abraham pitched his tent with Beth-el to the west, and Ai from the east, and he built an altar for the Lord there, and he called on the name of the Lord. El, right? He said, hey El, oh Lord, El, right? He didn't say, hey Lord, El, because it was later scripted wrong, or scribed wrong as El, which was the Canaanite god, pre-Egyptian god. And Abraham took up and left together with his bearers and headed south. So there was famine in the land, and Abraham went down to Egypt to live there because the famine consumed the land. Okay, so for some reason, not too sure if he was in the land of Goshen, maybe Jacob and then we later on, but just the lack of food, you couldn't grow crops there, something like that. Something went wrong, so there was a famine, okay, that hit that land. So they looked and they saw that Egypt had plenty because the Noah floods over, they got the black soot on either side. Once the water went down, they start growing their crops, etc. You know, if you're a harpist, a scholar, a writer, actor, or whatever, you got to stop all that, put it all down, and go and help plant these crops, whatever, right? And then go back to what you were doing, your normal everyday talent in your life. And then when it's all ready, you got to drop that again and go help pick it all up, right? Gather it all up, put it in either special barns or a pyramid or something like that. Because they're really good at storing things, you know, putting themselves ahead, all that sort of stuff, and then return back to whatever you did in your everyday life, wallpapering, whatever you did, right? It's a part of the requirement, right, under a king in that particular part of Egypt at that time. Okay, so there was a famine in the land, and Abraham went down to Egypt to live there because the famine consumed the land that he was occupying. And as he was close to entering Egypt, he said to Sarai, his wife, hey, take note, look, I know that you are a beautiful wife to look at, and as the Egyptians see you, they will say this is his wife, because she's like really attractive, hot, right? They will kill me and let you live. Can't be doing that, right? You can't do that. Let that happen. We will say that you are my sister, then they will be nice to me because of you, and they will let me live because of you. And as Abraham entered Egypt, the Egyptians saw that his wife was very beautiful. Okay, so he made this premonition. He just had this inkling, right, and he knew what was going to go down. And the courtiers of Pharaoh, or the messengers, the people of his court, right, the king's court, saw her and praised her before Pharaoh, or the king. See, Pharaoh is basically a Greek word for the house of. Yeah. So a house can't be a king, right? So you'd have to really, in English, understand that and refer to that ruler as the king. Okay, is Prince Charles today a pharaoh? No, he's not. He's a king, isn't he? And plus, he's not of Egypt anyway. He's not Egyptian anyway. And Abraham was treated well because of her beauty, etc., and was given flocks and bulls, donkeys and servants, maidservants, husbandmen and camels. And Abraham was treated well, just read that. And the Lord struck the Pharaoh, or the king, and all his household with great plagues, because Sarai was the wife of Abraham. 12:17, literal Aramaic idiomatic construction. And there struck the Lord the Pharaoh, or the king, with the strikes, and the children of his home. So maybe it's like strikes. What would that be? It could be something like the shakes, palpitations, sweating, can't breathe, all that sort of stuff. Maybe we're not really sure what it is. But yeah, put him in fear mode.